Hello everyone. Welcome to today's session. I'm excited to share some quick revision points for NEET UG. On this first slide, you'll see the title NEET UG Quick Revision Points. We'll be looking at repeated questions from previous years, specifically from 2010 to 2024. My name is Muskan Samreen, and I hold both BSc and MSc degrees in zoology. If you want to follow along or check out more content, you can visit my YouTube channel at the link shown. Let's get started and make your NEET preparation easier and more effective. Welcome to slide 2 of 9. Here, we focus on the first chapter, The Living World. This slide provides an overview of the chapter, highlighting the key aspects. We see the page numbers indicated, from page 2 to page 9, covering a total of 8 pages. Throughout this section, there are 10 questions asked, with an average of 1 question per page, which helps reinforce our understanding. An interesting point to note is that certain pages, specifically pages 5, 7, 11, and 12, contain the maximum number of questions, totaling 4 pages. Additionally, there's a note about the time span from 2010 to 2024, which accounts for about 80% of the content or questions. This overall structure sets the foundation for exploring the diversity and characteristics of living organisms, emphasizing the importance of understanding the living world around us. As we move forward, keep in mind how these questions and pages connect to the broader theme of studying life and its complexities. All right, let's take a closer look at this table, which summarizes the questions we've explored from 2010 to 2024. As you can see, the first column indicates the year range, and the second shows the specific questions we've addressed. The third column points to the pages in the presentation where you can find more detailed discussions on each question. For example, in the years 2010, 2012, and 2014, 2016, and so on, certain questions were covered, and you'll find corresponding page numbers like 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, and 9. This table is really useful because it helps us see the progression of our inquiry over time and makes it easy to locate the relevant sections in our presentation. Most importantly, it underscores how our focus has evolved and how different questions have been interconnected throughout the years. Connecting these dots enhances our understanding of the overall theme we're exploring, whether it's growth, challenges, or innovations in our field. So, as we move forward, keep this table in mind as a reference point for how our questions have developed and where to find more detailed insights in the slides. Let's start with Ernst Mayr, who has been called the Darwin of the 20th century. He made incredible contributions to biology and was awarded what is often considered the Triple Crown of Biology: the Baltzan Prize in 1983, the International Prize in 1994, and the Crafoord Prize in 1999. These honors really highlight his impact on our understanding of life. Moving on to what makes living organisms unique, there are several key features. Growth, reproduction, self-organization, and the ability to sense and respond to the environment are fundamental. They also have metabolism, the ability to self-replicate, interact with their surroundings, and exhibit emergence, meaning complex properties arise from simpler interactions. Taken together, these features help define the living world. Now, when we compare multicellular and unicellular organisms, both grow through cell division. However, the critical difference is that in unicellular organisms, growth and reproduction are essentially the same process, since growth results in reproduction. Interestingly, growth isn't exclusive to living beings. Non-living things like mountains, boulders, and sand mounds also increase in size over time, but they lack the key features that define life. Finally, some organisms don't reproduce at all, like mules, sterile worker bees, or infertile human couples. This tells us that reproduction, while important, can't be the sole criterion for defining life. There are exceptions that challenge the idea that reproduction alone makes something alive. So, as we see, living organisms are characterized by a complex set of features, but no single trait alone can fully define what it means to be alive. Let's delve into some fundamental concepts about life and living organisms. First, when we talk about metabolism, we're referring to the sum total of all the chemical reactions happening inside our bodies. These reactions are essential because they keep us alive and functioning. It's important to note that metabolism is a defining feature of all living organisms, without exception. Even isolated metabolic reactions studied outside the body, what we call in vitro reactions, are not living things themselves, but they are definitely living reactions. This distinction highlights how metabolism is at the core of what makes something alive. Moving on, there's a fascinating aspect of human beings, self-consciousness. It's unique to us and is considered the defining characteristic that sets humans apart. However, when we look at living organisms in general, consciousness is often regarded as a key feature of life itself. So, in essence, while self-awareness makes humans special, consciousness broadly links all living organisms. Next, all living beings, whether present today, in the past, or in the future, are interconnected through shared genetic material. This genetic link forms the basis of our common ancestry, although the degree of similarity varies among different species. It emphasizes the unity and diversity of life. Now, regarding biodiversity, scientists have identified and described approximately 1.7 to 1.8 million species so far. This incredible variety highlights the richness of life on Earth and underscores the importance of understanding and conserving it. In the realm of biological classification, we follow specific nomenclature codes. The International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, or ICBN, governs plant names, while the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, or ICZN, applies to animals. These codes ensure that every species has a standardized, universally accepted scientific name. Speaking of names, each biological name consists of two main parts: the generic name, which is the genus, and the specific epithet, which identifies the species within that genus. This binomial nomenclature system helps us communicate clearly and precisely about the vast diversity of life. This system is called binomial nomenclature, and it was given by Carolus Linnaeus. It's the standard way we assign scientific names to organisms, making communication clearer across different languages and regions. After the specific epithet, you'll notice the author's name appears. This helps identify who first described the species, adding a layer of credibility and historical context to the naming process. Biological names are generally written in Latin and italicized to set them apart from regular text. The first word indicates the genus, which is the broader category, and the second part, called the species epithet, specifies the exact species within that genus. When handwritten, both words are usually underlined separately to maintain clarity. Now, moving to classification itself, it's essentially a way of organizing living things into convenient groups based on observable features. This helps us understand relationships and similarities among different organisms more easily. And it's not just external features we look at. Modern taxonomy also considers internal structures, cell details, developmental processes, and ecological information. All these aspects are crucial because they give us a comprehensive understanding of an organism's identity and its place in the biological world. Taxonomy, as a discipline, includes several key activities: characterization, which is identifying traits; identification, determining what species an organism belongs to; classification, organizing them into hierarchical groups; and nomenclature, which is about assigning and standardizing their scientific names. Altogether, these components form the backbone of biological classification, helping us systematically study and understand the diversity of life on Earth. Today, I want to talk about some important concepts in taxonomy. Linnaeus, as many of you know, used the title Systema Naturae for his groundbreaking publication, which laid the foundation for modern classification. Now, when we look at the taxonomic system, we see that a category is simply a part of the overall arrangement. It's called a taxonomic category, and all these categories together form what we call the taxonomic hierarchy. This hierarchy helps us organize living things systematically. For example, plant families like Convolvulaceae and Solanaceae are grouped into the order Polemoniales. Interestingly, this grouping is mainly based on floral characteristics, which are quite significant in plant classification. As we move from species up to the kingdom level, the number of common characteristics shared among the organisms decreases. That's because higher levels of classification encompass more diversity, so they share fewer traits. The taxonomic hierarchy, in ascending order, is species, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division, and finally kingdom. This order helps us understand how closely or distantly related different organisms are. For example, a housefly belongs to the order Diptera and the class Insecta. Its genus is Musca, and it's important to note that in plants we use division, whereas in animals we use phylum for the same hierarchical level. Also, a quick tip, for plants, the suffix ales is used for order, and a key for family, which helps in identifying the categories easily. Connecting all these points, it's clear that taxonomy is a systematic way to classify and understand the diversity of life, making sense of the relationships between different organisms across the natural world. Let's take a closer look at the mango, which belongs to the family Anacardiaceae. This family includes several important fruit-bearing plants, and mango is one of the most prominent members. Moving up the classification, mango falls under the order Sapindales, a group that includes other well-known fruits and plants. Now, focusing on the fruit itself, the mango is classified as a drupe. This means it has a fleshy outer part that surrounds a single hard seed inside. An interesting point to remember is that the mango develops from a monocarpellary superior ovary, which refers to the ovary that is positioned above the other floral parts and originates from a single carpel. Understanding this classification helps us appreciate the botanical complexity behind such a popular fruit. It also connects to the overall theme of how diverse and fascinating plant taxonomy can be, especially when we consider the structural aspects of fruit development. And finally, I want to share with you this link, http://www.youtube.com/@musconsamrine1185. Here, you'll find more of my work, my videos, and content related to what we've discussed today. If you're interested in diving deeper or seeing real examples, this is a great resource. Connecting online like this allows us to extend the conversation beyond this presentation and stay engaged with the topics that matter most. So I encourage you to visit the channel, explore the content, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or want to collaborate further. Thank you all for your attention and participation today.